Good morning, Scallywags! Spoo here with another mindless drivel, and I am so sorry, but we're talking about the MCU again. Specifically, where does the MCU go from here? After a villain like Thanos and the events of the Infinity War and Endgame, how do we introduce a new big bad who is not only powerful enough to take on the Avengers, but is compelling enough of a character to not seem like a massive step backwards? And while yes, this is a problem that they have created introducing a character as rich as Thanos, after all, from a certain perspective, one could actually argue that he was right in what he was doing. Not to mention that we also got to see him sharing quite a bit of emotion. Not just rage and empowerment like you see from a lot of villains, but even compassion and love for his daughter. It's not often that you see someone who's trying to destroy half of the universe crying. But while that may be a big problem for the MCU to deal with, it's not their biggest problem. If you watched my previous two videos on why Avengers Endgame kinda sucked, then you know that my number one problem with the movie was how it established a very specific set of rules for time travel, and then immediately broke those rules. The rule that they set out, of course, was saying that you cannot change the past because time is linear, and changing the past creates a branch, thus creating a whole new reality. This shouldn't have been a problem to begin with, because they've already mentioned the fact that the multiverse does exist. But instead of just being okay with creating a new reality within the multiverse, they spent a good deal of time, about half an hour or so, establishing that this is the way it has to be done. You cannot create these new realities, or you're breaking the timeline. And then they just did it anyway. Not only has this created a number of problems with the history of the MCU and where things are standing now, so many things in fact that the writers and directors of both movies have had to come out and explain exactly what happened in the movie. To which again I state that if your movie can't tell you what's actually happening and it has to be explained by the writers and directors after the fact, then your movie is simply poorly written. But I digress. One of the biggest questions that has come out of this is people asking, will time travel simply be the new cure-all for any future threat? And this is the problem that's actually created by most time travel movies. A new threat comes along, the fight happens, people get hurt, things change. No problem, we'll just go back and fix it before it ever happened. In my previous video, I even called a prediction saying that Tony Stark would return at some point in time and that time travel would be involved in that. I'm actually going to change that theory and say that the multiverse will be involved in that. We can simply pluck Tony from some other reality, some other world, and use him for whatever it is we need to use him for, and then just put him back when we're done. So now that not only begs the question of who is powerful enough to be a threat. And not just a threat, but a bigger threat than Thanos. Because let's not forget, we don't want to take a massive step backwards. Who is a more compelling character than Thanos? And while they don't have to necessarily be more compelling than Thanos, they do need to be compelling enough that we at least understand what their goal is. And for the most important question, who can do this without creating any new problems? Well, believe it or not, there is a villain out there who not only covers the spectrum of the three things that are needed, he's already been teased in the MCU. Think back, if you will, all the way back to the year 2018. A little movie was released by the name of Ant-Man and the Wasp. And by the way, there are going to be spoilers for a few MCU movies and stuff from comic books and things, so if that bothers you, then spoiler warning, I guess. Of course, if you've seen that movie, you know that it ends with Scott Lang going into the quantum realm and then getting stuck in there when the decimation happens, wiping out Hank Pym and Janet and Hope Van Dyne. However, what you may not know is that while Scott was in the quantum realm, there was an Easter egg in that scene. In a split-second blink and you will miss it shot, off to the very right-hand side of the screen, we see this. In case you're having trouble deciphering what that is, it is a domed city within the quantum realm. I know right now you're probably asking, so what does that mean and how does it establish a new villain? As it turns out, in the 65, 70 years that Marvel Comics has been around, there has only been one city that is outside of time and is covered by a dome. That being the city of Chronopolis. Now, in the comic books, Chronopolis is actually located in Limbo. However, in the comic books, Limbo is actually where any time traveler has to go to get from one time to another. Obviously, in the MCU, they're using the quantum realm for this. So that checks out. So what is Chronopolis? Well, as mentioned, it is a city covered by a dome that is located in Limbo. Each individual block of Chronopolis stretches out to the ends of the Earth, and each block is located within its own individual timeline. So unless you're someone who is able to find the forbidden portals that will actually connect you from one block to another, it is entirely possible to be lost within Chronopolis forever. So why is Chronopolis so special, and how does it introduce a new possible big bad for the MCU, and how does that big bad then fix all of the problems that were created by Endgame? Well, that is because the ruler of Chronopolis just so happens to be a villain by the name of Kang the Conqueror. But Spoo, I've never read a comic book before, and I'm watching this video for some reason. I don't know who Kang the Conqueror is. Please explain. Fine, you talked me into it. Kang the Conqueror is a man named Nathaniel Richards, who is a scholar from the 31st century and is possibly a descendant of one Reed Richards, who you might also know as Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four, which rather conveniently was owned by Fox, who was just purchased by Disney. So what does that have to do with anything? How does that make him a dangerous and compelling character? Well, that is because Kang the Conqueror's big thing is he's a time traveler! In fact, his first introduction was him going back to the Egyptian times and becoming a pharaoh to try to take over the world. Okay, so we've established that we now have a time-traveling bad guy. That definitely connects us to the time travel from Endgame that created so many problems. So here is how you fix the MCU in one movie. So there does need to be a little bit of setup to this before we get to the main showdown. While we don't absolutely have to, I believe that it's important that we introduce the Fantastic Four. Not only was Kang originally tied to the Fantastic Four, but the fact that he may actually be a descendant of Reed Richards seems like it could be a little important. And could definitely make for some compelling storytelling. So quite simply, all you would have to do is have an entire Avengers movie with the Avengers chasing Kang through time. Kang is going back and creating all sorts of chaos that the Avengers now have to go back and fix. You can even establish an entire phase of the MCU based on this one premise. Each character in their own individual movies in a different time period fighting the same guy over and over and over again until it finally comes down to a giant showdown with the full Avengers against Kang the Conqueror, or several versions of Kang the Conqueror picked from different time periods. It just seems to me that if time travel became such a chaotic event and that there was one villain whose whole thing is time travel and going back in time to take over the world, that just might make it to where they don't want to use time travel in the future. So in short, Endgame creates a ton of problems by introducing time travel and leaving open the question of why can't we just use time travel to fix all of our future problems? So to answer that question, you introduce one villain who is a time traveler to establish beyond a shadow of a doubt that time travel is purely and simply a horrible idea and let's never do that again. And that's what I call a problem solved. So while there are plenty of other big bads in the Marvel Universe that I would love to see before Kang, ultimately I feel that Kang is the most important villain out there right now to fix all of the problems that Endgame created. And that's what it boils down to. So what are your thoughts, guys? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this theory or whatever you want to call it, this idea. Or if there's another villain out there that you think could also solve those problems in a completely different way, drop that below as well. Continue to comment, like, share, and subscribe as well. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those wonderful things. And make sure you definitely subscribe for content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on the YouTubes. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Hey guys, just a couple of quick announcements for you, a couple of updates. First and foremost, we've got a sponsor! Scallywag Productions is officially teaming up with geekycool.com, which, much like the channel, is a one-stop shop for all things nerd. You've got articles, you got videos, you got movie reviews, you got a little bit of everything, kind of like we do here. So definitely stop by and check out geekycool.com. Very excited to be working with them, and lots of collaboration stuff coming in the near future, so subscribe and don't miss out. Also, coming up next month, I'm going to be doing an official announcement video for this here in the next few days, but July 19th and 20th in Harrison, Arkansas at the Quality Inn. Stop by and visit me at That Geeky Con. It's a first-year convention in Harrison, Arkansas at the Quality Inn. I'm going to be helping to judge the cosplay contest for that, so very excited. Stop by and say hello. So yeah, lots of great things happening here with the channel, so it's an exciting time. So again, make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss out on any of it. Again, there's going to be an official announcement video coming with more details concerning That GeekyCon here over the next few days, so stick around and make sure you check that out. But otherwise, once again guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out geekycool.com, come see me at That GeekyCon, and yeah, just subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the great things coming up in the near future. We'll see you soon, guys.